folks. This is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Good evening, folks. Welcome back to an evening broadcast in South Africa and a late afternoon broadcast here in the United States for Chris Wyatt Reports. Trying to come up with another name for that. We got a new name for Rugby Ascended. Today it was called Rugby Rants. Maybe that should be a segment on there, Rugby Rants. Welcome back to the program. Going to cover the news here. You notice we didn't do the long opening there with Biden and Kamala Harris. So we're getting straight to the news. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat. Charles Van Onselen is here. I did read your comment. You summarized what was said earlier. It confirms a number of things. Where does the ladder come from? The ladder didn't make any sense. Well, the ladder was put up there afterwards by the law enforcement and not by the shooter. Question is, where's the rifle? I said the rifle was hidden on site before the event. That appears to be what is happening now. There's always been my argument. The rifle was pre-positioned before the event occurred, and that appears to be the case. By the way, Trump is going back out to Butler to finish that rally. That is boss, man. That is OG. He's going to go back out to the place they tried to murder him and nearly succeeded and ruin the Democrats' plans for this election, but he's going to go out there and have his rally again. George Steinberg is in from Heckpunk, so thanks for tuning in to Bosparat. Whenever I get an update, if I receive Violent Signs, I usually pop in. I was actually headed out, and I really was in a time crunch. I had to literally run from here to the Veterans Organization, and then get some reports, sign a few documents, turn in some documents, and then was asked, are you going to sign the checks? I'm like, sure. Well, they're not here. I got to go get them. So while the manager went out to go get the checks from the accounting office down the road, the accounting service, I went outside and pulled weeds for 15 minutes. Came back inside, signed the checks, and went over some issues with the manager. And then got back here literally 3 minutes before I went live, sat down, ready to go. So we're going to do the news now. Patria says, it's great to have you on Bosparat with Valent and Rob. That's the way to go. Well, if I'm invited, I'll go. I had never been invited, and he sent me an email link in an email account, my original account, which is the one I reached out to him 4 years ago to first interview him rather than in WhatsApp. So anyway, I did find eventually, and we went on there. Yep, didn't get to finish all the things I wanted to say, but that was a good conversation. Emil Therd is here. Jacques Vandenberg, welcome to you. Dion, Tanya, good evening to you. Carlos Putters, me again, welcome back. Brian Lawrence and Mark Purchase. Ernst, evening to you. And Lee Lowe is here as well. Clive Streak. Chris Speak. Chris Stan, policewoman cleared of spying. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I have that link. Chris Stan sent me that link. I watched that. The woman who's been cleared of spying. You're talking about the one who is a whistleblower for the military camp. Yep. And Diane McMeekin. Welcome to you. Dylan Combrick, always here. Good to have you again. So 47, Shirley, up. Thank you all for that. Let's get to the news because that's why people have turned in tonight. Congratulations to Tatjana Smith, who got South Africa's first gold medal in these Olympics yesterday in a race that she was badly behind and somehow found the drive to win this thing. She said, I actually didn't think I was medaling. She didn't think she could get a bronze medal, let alone the gold. She claims South Africa's first gold at the Paris Olympics yesterday. 27-year-old won gold in a thrilling 100-meter breaststroke final at the Paris La Défense Arena, leaving her charge late to finish at 105.28 ahead of China's Tang Quanting and Ireland's Mona McSherry. Wow, that was an incredible race. Incredible race, just beating them by hundredths of a second. Wow, in a nail-biting race, she was comfortably outside of the podium places at the 50-meter turn, but she turned it on. Wow. It's her slowest time in 3 races, but she won the gold. She won silver back in Tokyo in 2021 and gold in the 200 meters, but she wasn't expected to medal here, and she gets the gold. Congratulations to Tatjana Smith and to the racist haters that are on Twitter writing things like, South Africa's first gold medal is run by a white woman. You damn skippy. Africa is comprised of black, white, brown people from all over the continent. So shut up, you race haters. Get over it. Well, no firm commitment on AGOA renewal, says the African delegation, saying U.S. Congress isn't going to say they're going to give you AGOA. There has been no firm commitment to the reauthorization of AGOA, according to Minister Parks Towell, the Minister of No Trade. Basically, what they said is that we'll try to get it through, but could not give a firm commitment. Yep, the new minister led a delegation to Washington, which included his deputy, Andrew Whitfield, from the DA, as well as officials from the private sector. Of course, AGOA was launched back in 2000, one of the last things that Bill Clinton signed into legislation, which authorized duty-free access to African countries that meet a set of conditions for governance. That's what it's supposed to do. Unfortunately, many of the countries that are given access to our market duty-free do not reciprocate, so we gain nothing from it financially. And on top of that, many of them commit human rights abuses. They violate property rights. They commit egregious offenses that disqualifies them for AGOA. But the cowards in Congress and the White House will not sanction them. South Africa finds itself in a situation where it might be sanctioned, but it seems unlikely. Well, this whole brouhaha about Gayton McKenzie, he needs to stop being Donald Trump on Twitter and opening his mouth when he shouldn't. Apparently, a lot of people needled him about this situation with this young lady who was born in Soweto, but because her father's Nigerian, her mother is South African of Mozambican origin, apparently that hurts people's feelings. The xenophobic, bigots, and racist in South Africa saying she shouldn't be competing for Miss South Africa. Well, of course she should be competing for Miss South Africa. Stop being asses. And the EFF troll who comes after Gayton McKenzie after he foolishly puts a tweet out there, which I responded to yesterday, this EFF troll actually is a bigot, and her racist comments show that she's a bigot. So, now Lady Chirwa takes on Gayton McKenzie over the Nigerian Miss South African contestant. It's always black women you target and bully. No, and your race hustling targets white men. Look at those ridiculous nails from a member of parliament. EFF's Naledi Chirwa, who is no stranger to receiving Afrophobic backlash because of her surname, which has rich Malawian history, has criticized sport, Arts and Cults Minister Gayton McKenzie's remarks on the debate surrounding Miss South African contestant Chidima Vanessa Adesina, her eligibility to compete. Adesina has been subjected to scrutiny on social media because of her origins. The debate intensified this week after a video of her with people, some dressed in Nigerian traditional clothing, and celebrating her success in the competition surfaced online. Speaking on the matter, McKenzie said, "We cannot have Nigerians compete in our Miss South Africa competition. I want to get all the facts before I comment, but it gives funny vibes already." Well, that is a stupid, asinine comment by Gayton McKenzie. We'll have to say that up front. Just shouldn't have tweeted. You just said, people are talking about this issue. We'll investigate it. If there's anything to it, we'll let you know. There's nothing to it. So, but Chirwa didn't take Gayton McKenzie's comments lightly. She said, "You don't respect South African laws. You are not patriotic at all. You don't know South African Constitution. You don't respect the South African governance office at the executive level. You do not know South African history," she said. Well, Chirwa said McKenzie's response to the debate about the young lady insinuated he did not take into consideration her holistic identity and only spoke about her Nigerian bloodline. Well, that's just asinine. She's a South African, done and dusted. Stop being asses. This woman is a total ass. She said, "It's always black women that you target and bully. Everybody else gets a pass. White men get a pass. White women get a pass. Black men get a pass. You hate black women. Black women's history matters. Our lineage matters. The children we birth are ours too." Really? Okay. So she says, "You have all the time to take on black South African women, but hide behind an ass when questioned about the white Minister of Home Affairs, Schreiber's nationality. Hate weak men." So what is Chirwa's problem with white men? Is she a bigot? Is she a racist? Or just a total ass? I say she's an ass. Now, Gayton McKenzie never should have tweeted this. It was a foolish tweet. She says, "I'm South African. There's nothing you can do or say to change it. Deal with your feelings regarding my surname the same way you've taught yourself to be okay with surnames such as Smith, Naidu, Ming, and so on." Now, actually, she's got a fair point there. "My father was born to a Sotho woman. My mother is Xhosa. I know both of those languages. Unfortunately, cannot heal you from patriarchal oppression." Oh, see, they can't help themselves. These misandric, man-hating women. This is unbelievable. So, the bigotry that she brings in here is obvious and plain for all to see, but she's blind to it, Miss Chirwa. I will be doing a video on this nonsense. It's just idiotic. So nobody will watch it. Maybe some of you will watch it, but I'll do a video on this because it's just frankly mind-numbingly asinine. She makes one valid point here about surnames. The rest of this, she's hating men, especially white men. And he never should have said the tweet. So identity hucksters slinging dirt at each other, and the left is eating itself. Agreed, Congo Chris. Agreed. But the victims in this are white men once again. And of course, you say that, oh my gosh, you're white privilege. Oh, fuck off. Anyway, so let's go on with the news. The West Coast oil spill, the ship is broken up into multiple parts now. This ship that was abandoned, yes, that's something Galaxy. What's the Galaxy name? The oil spills on the west coast. The MV Ultra Galaxy. Strong winds and heavy swells have aided cleanup operations necessitated by an oil spill. Apparently, they were unable to get the oil out of the containers because of the heavy swells. The cargo ship MV Ultra Galaxy ran aground back on July 9th, just south of Brandsebaai in the Western Cape. 125-meter vessel was en route to Dar es Salaam when it developed an excessive list owing to water on board as a result of stormy weather. The ship was abandoned by its 18 Filipino seafarers, and the South African Maritime Authority spokesman Tebogo Ramamachi said that the grounded ship had broken into 4 sections during severe weather over the weekend, resulting in one of the tanks being ruptured, the fuel tanks, and you can see the oil that has come up on the beach. It's contained in a specific spot. Now look at that. That's a very dangerous beach. There's no rocks there. It's just soil. It looks like the whole coastline is going to collapse into the ocean. That's pretty scary. But you can see the ship broken in 2 right there, but it's broken into 4 parts now. Crazy stuff there with this ship. Shipping is dangerous. Millions of ships are resting at the bottom of the sea, wooden, steel, all kinds of ships at the bottom of the sea over millennia of seafaring. Dangerous occupation. 3 dead and 4 injured in a shooting spree in Cape Town. Another mass shooting in South Africa. 5 others sustained serious injuries during a separate shooting incidents at Elsie's River on Sunday and Monday. Unidentified gunmen shot 3 people dead and seriously injured 5 others in Elsie's River. Western Cape Police spokeswarrant officer Joseph Slatboy said Elsie's River detectives had their hands full this past weekend with several shootings being reported. At 4:20 in the morning on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, nothing good happens after midnight. Please tell your children that. Learn to be responsible. Nothing good happens after midnight. That's when everything goes bad. Rebellious Ruth is here. Good to see Ruthie in the mix. She's working apparently right now. Canada Dry. In honor of the Canadians winning the silver medal in the women's rugby sevens. USA got the bronze. Matthew Dixon was wrong. He predicted an all Southern Hemisphere victory, but it was split. 2 of the 3 medals didn't go to the Southern Hemisphere. They went to the Northern Hemisphere, silver and bronze. Well, they shot and killed my sister in front of me, says the tavern goer. Naxolo Jada was among 8 people killed in a tavern. Wendy Jada, 28, was among those who escaped unscathed after a group of men carrying rifles and pistols robbed and killed 8 people inside and outside for two for Joy Tavern in Kanana, Orkney. Wow. Her sister was outside the tavern when the gang stormed in. Wow. Ordered everybody to lie on the floor or be killed. She was outside. I was inside. I threw myself to the floor and saw her running to me. The men opened fire on her at close range. Shot her twice in the back. She fell near me. Her eyes were wide open, staring at me. She struggled to speak. I heard her exhaling her last breath. I watched as she died near me. They shot and killed her in front of me. Wow. Unbelievable, folks. What is going on in South Africa? People keep talking about mass shootings in America. These are shebeens. What is going on? Yep. The Zulu King calls for unity. Greater involvement of the Amakosi in economic and political life. No, thank you. We don't need the traditional chiefs having a bigger role in the political sphere. That's the wrong message. King Mzuzulu Kazwaletini has called for unity among political parties in KwaZulu-Natal to deal with the high levels of crime, gender-based violence, and unemployment. Well, you need to be involved in your local affairs is what you need to do, and quit sitting back collecting fat paychecks from taxpayers. Jacob Zuma's expulsion. Well, here's 5 other politicians that have famously been kicked out of the ANC. Of course, we've got Julius Malema in February 2012. He's kicked it out, the little rabble-rouser who's now in deep crap over the VBS scandal. Yep. Ace Magashule kicked out in June 2023, no longer members of the ANC. Bantu Holomisa back in 1996, a very popular member of the ANC. He's a former member of the ANC National Executive Committee and member of Parliament. Also served as deputy minister in the late former President Mandela's cabinet. Yep, he was a popular leader with the ANC at the time of his expulsion, having received the most votes out of all ANC NEC members at the time. And, of course, he went on to form the United Democratic Movement, which has been in Parliament since 1999. There's Holomisa right there. Carl Niehaus, as we affectionately call him, Carl Nyhorse, was kicked out in December 2022. And those are some famous ANC politicians who've been booted. Hey, folks, Checkers is raking it in with their special delivery program, the 60/60 program. ShopRite released an operational update for the year that ended June 30th, revealing strong growth for its on-demand delivery service. Sales grew 58% because of 60/60, overall contributing to a 12.3% sales growth for Checkers and Checkers Hyper. Wow. Well, they reported sales of 173.6 billion rand, Overall, the group amounted 215 billion rand. So, wow, this delivery service is working well for Checkers. Bringing the bucks in for Checkers. Good news there. So there's some good news for South Africa, finally. In neighboring Namibia, the Caprivi Zipfel, the little triangle up there, the little strip, the Caprivi Strip as it's better known, saw an insurrection a good 20 years ago. 7 men have been convicted in the second Caprivi high treason trial, 15 years after found guilty the first time. Frederick Natambilwa, John Tembwe, Shine Sambuladela, Progress Munuma, Alex Mushukwa, Hoster Ntomo, and Manuel Makandano were convicted. The plot to secede the former Capri region from Namibia more than 20 years ago has left 7 men convicted of high treason and other charges for a second time. In a judgment delivered in the High Court in Windhoek Correctional Facility yesterday, Acting Judge Petrus Unengo concluded that it was proven during the 7 men's retrial, which started in 2014, that they took part in the activities of a separatist organization in the Zambezi region from 1998 to 2003. They were involved in plans to take up arms against the government in the Zambezi region, then known as the Caprivi region, which they did not consider to be part of Namibia. The accused had a duty to report the activities of a separatist organization to authorities, but failed to do so because they themselves took part in those activities. It's apparent from the evidence as a whole that all participate actively in one or another way of furthering the goal of seceding the eastern Caprivi region from the rest of Namibia. Why not? It's not even related to it. It's not even physically the same. 7 men, together with 5 co-accused, went through a first trial back in 2005 and 2007 and ended in their convictions. Wow. They will return to court on August 19th for a pre-sentencing hearing. No, that's not going well for them. United States Special Forces conduct training with the Botswana Defense Force. U.S. Special Operations Command Africa conducted a joint combined training exchange, a JSET, between the 3rd Special Forces Group, Green Berets, and the Botswana Defense Force at the Tebe Patswa Air Base. And that concluded back on July 18th. 7 weeks of training, U.S. Forces BDF refined multiple ground and aerial tactical skills, including military freefall training, close quarter contact, and shooting drills. The culmination of these activities is designated to strengthen U.S.-Botswana bonds and defense cooperation. JSETs leverage existing relationships to provide partner nations with tailored special operations. Congratulations to the BDF on their training event. Zimbabwe has won the Rugby Africa Men's Cup for 2024. Of course, South Africa doesn't participate in this. Namibia had won it 9 consecutive times, or 10, and now it's done. 9 times over 10 years. The Sables defeated first-time finalist Algeria 2093 in Kampala to win their first title since 2012 and to climb to a 9-year high in the World Rugby rankings at 28. Zimbabwe won their first Rugby Africa Men's Cup in 12 years as they beat Algeria on Sunday. Algeria reached their first final on the back of impressive wins over Ivory Coast and Kenya, while the Sables were chasing their second title, having last won in 2012. They rose to their task and deserved winners, scoring 4 tries without conceding any. Wow, it's a dream come true for every player and staff member. We dedicate this victory to the millions of Zimbabweans supporters throughout our journey. Zimbabwe will now be ranked 28th in world rankings, and Namibia's 10-year reign as African champions included 6 titles, was ended by Namibia in the semifinals. But the Velveters bounced back on Sunday to beat Kenya with inside center Denzo Brewer's boot, contributing 18 points to win that prevents them sliding any more than 1 place down the rankings to 25. All right, congratulations to the Sables of Zimbabwe. They won a title. Riots at at an Israeli army base. Things are not looking good in Israel. Growing divisions over the war in Gaza. Right-wing demonstrators forced away inside 2 military facilities after 9 soldiers were held on suspicion of abusing a Palestinian man. The Israelis sent 2 battalions to deal with this. The Israeli military said today that it sent 2 battalions to protect an army base where 9 soldiers are being held on suspicion of abusing a Palestinian man. The move was a sign that rising tensions the day after the soldiers' arrest spurred civilian protesters to storm the base and another military complex. Scores of protesters, accompanied by at least 3 lawmakers from Benjamin Netanyahu's governing coalition, gathered outside the Sidi Taiman base on Monday before some of them surged inside. This is insane. This is insane. You're in a war. You shouldn't behave this way. U.S. has announced $500 million, $500 million in military assistance for the Philippines. There's Lloyd Austin and Antony Blinken, 2 people who will soon be unemployed. The United States announced $500 million in foreign military financing in the Philippines. Speaking at a joint news conference after talks with the Filipino counterparts, Austin called the financing a once-in-a-generation investment to help modernize the armed forces of the Philippines. Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro said the military investments will boost the country's credible defense posture and help deter unwanted and unlawful aggression. What he didn't say was from China. Yep. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. $500 million of our tax money to strengthen the Philippines, a country whose president told us to get stuffed, footsack just recently. The French are accused of gaslighting Christians with their Last Supper denials as outcry over the anti-Christian mockery continues. Critics aren't buying Last Supper denials as an uproar over anti-Christian mockery spirals. Efforts to deny the 2024 Paris Olympics opening ceremony featured a drag queen parody of Last Supper are now in full swing, but the critics aren't buying it. Thomas Jolly, the ceremony's disgusting artistic director, said that the tableau showing a woman in a halo flanked at a table by drag queens was not inspired by the Last Supper. Liar. He said it was a reference to Dionysus, the Greek god of wine and celebration, who appeared a short time later served up on a silver platter. It's not my inspiration, and that should be pretty obvious, Mr. Jolly told the French news outlet. There's Dionysus arriving on a table. Why is he here? First and foremost, because he's a god of celebration in Greek mythology, and the tableau is called festivity. Yeah, well, you're a lying sack of horse manure there, Mr. Jolly, and over 1 billion Christians are up in arms because of this nonsense. Others said the tableau is a recreation of Jan Hermanus's von Billiard's painting The Feast of the Gods, which was featured on a dinner scene. Well, it wasn't. He says, clearly there's never intention to show disrespect towards any religious group or belief. Well, that's horse manure. On the contrary, each of the tableau and the Paris ceremony were intended to celebrate community and tolerance. No, you have intolerance for Christians. Total intolerance. Conservative radio host Eric Erickson posted a now deleted page from Paris tourism website saying the opening ceremony included a recreation of Last Supper. There you go. There you go. So they said it right there. He reposted it. They intended to do it. Yep. And they didn't think they'd get away. They didn't think they'd be caught. So Eric Erickson posted a now deleted page from the Sortir Paris, a tourism website. And let's see if it takes me to that website. No, it doesn't. So he posted that. Yeah, so they intentionally meant to do it. Yep. And they're trying to get away with it now. Wow. Barbara Butch, the woman in the center of the posted in the photograph to her Instagram, admitted that this photo had everything to do with them mocking the scriptures. Then she decided a few hours later to call it the Feast of the Gods. Nope. Got caught. Yep, got caught. Yep. So she first posted this. She said, oh yes, the New Gay Testament. That's what she put on there, Barbara Butch. Then she put this up and deleted the other one. Yeah, disgusting, vile. These are radical, bizarre, sick, twisted homosexuals who undermine people's sexuality with their garbage. Utter nonsense. A third child has died from the stabbing that took place in the UK at a dance class. 7 more are critically injured. A 9-year-old girl wounded in stabbing at a Taylor Swift-themed dance and yoga class in northwest England died Tuesday, bringing the death toll to 3 as police question the 17-year-old suspect. The girl is identified as Alice Aguiar by Portuguese Secretary of State of Communities. He said her family originally from the Madeira region were in a state of shock. Merseyside police said the other fatalities were girls aged 6 and 7. Wow. These are just little kids at a dance class. I'm a complete loss for how to ever convey my sympathies to these families. Local people left flowers and stuffed animals in tribute at a police cordon on the street lined with brick houses at a seaside resort near Liverpool. Witnesses described scenes from a horror movie as bloody children ran from the attack just before noon. Suspect was arrested soon after on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. Police said he was born in Cardiff and had not lived for years in a village about 3 miles away from Southport. He's yet to be charged. Unbelievable. Yeah, the guns are the problem. No, people are the problem. People are the problem. Protests erupt in Venezuela over Maduro's election, which people are claiming was fraudulent. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said there's proof that her party defeated Maduro's ruling party. Well, I'd like to see the proof, sweetheart. Protests erupted in Venezuela on July 29th in the wake of a disrupted election result in which both President Maduro and his opponent claimed victory. Numerous acts of repression and violence carried out by paramilitary collective security forces have been reported. On Monday, protesters tore down a statue of Hugo Chavez, his mentor, who was elected in 1999 and thankfully died in 2013 because Chavez ushered in an era of misery in which 7 million Venezuelans have fled from. Now, the opposition claimed that 73% of Italian ballots accessible showed Mr. Gonzalez won a clear victory, more than twice as many votes as Maduro. So Venezuela may erupt into a civil conflict. We will see. United States is under the corrupt Biden regime continuing to fuel the war in Ukraine. We are now going to give them the most advanced missiles so that the Ukrainians can murder Russians and continue Joe Biden's war of distraction. The Biden regime says it'll provide missiles and bombs for the American-made aircraft. The U.S. has agreed to arm dozens of F-16 fighters being sent to Ukraine with American-made missiles and other advanced weapons. Denmark and Netherlands are preparing to send the first American-made F-16s to Ukraine this summer, and more will come later. Well, actually, they've already been reported to be there, so I'm a little confused. We were told that they're already there, so I'm puzzled. Why are we saying they're not there now? This is insane. The weapons for the F-16 U.S. is sending include the AGM-88 HARM air-to-ground missile, extended-range versions of the JDAM, the Joint Direct Attack Munition, which convert unguided bombs to smart bombs, and the so-called smaller-diameter bombs that explode with a tight blast radius. In addition, the U.S. will send advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles known as ARAMs and AIM-9X short-range air-to-air missiles. Wow. Well, Norwegian Royal Air Force Chief Major General Rolf Folan said the aircraft itself is worthless without weapons. Well, duh, but they shouldn't be getting these advanced weapons from our arsenal. Utterly ridiculous. New Secret Service director has announced changes in the wake of the Trump assassination attack. Ronald Rowe said he's ashamed that a roof near the rally was not better secured. Well, it wasn't secured at all, buddy. Not better secured. It wasn't secured at all. Secret Service is making changes in the wake of the assassination attempt against former President Trump. Acting Director Ronald Rowe said he traveled to the site where the former president was shot. What I saw made me ashamed. As a career law enforcement officer and a 25-year veteran with the Secret Service, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured. To prevent similar lapses from occurring in the future, I direct our personnel to ensure every event site security plan is thoroughly vetted by multiple experienced supervisors before it is implemented. Well, of course, but they didn't do that before when they wanted Trump to die. They denied him, and he reported and confirmed today. Ronald Rowe reported that it is confirmed that, in fact, the Trump Secret Service detail and the Trump campaign reportedly, repeatedly requested more assistance over the past 18 months, and all the requests were denied. Who denied that in the Department of Justice? Who denied that in the White House? Who denied that in the National Security Council? Who was responsible for ensuring that President Trump was not properly secured? This was an attempt in the government to ensure that he was in a vulnerable position. Unbelievable. Congo Chris, she resigned last week. She resigned the day after she testified. She was toast. Well, the Trump rally gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks temporarily recoiled from his rooftop perch and did not shoot again before he was killed after the local SWAT team shot at him. Yeah. The shot from a local officer caused the would-be assassin temporarily recoil from his perch, according to two officials. Crooks' retreat coincided with a 10-second pause in shooting, according to audio experts who examined the gunshots, a critical period that ended when the Secret Service counter-sniper shot and killed him. Well, Crooks was a moron. He was a moron. He got off 8 shots. A shot came at him, and then he ducked. He should have slid down the roof and tried to disappear. Instead, he lifted his head back up, and it was taken out. Yep. It was reported that a local officer fired at Crooks, but the analysis suggests the officer may have played a more important role than previously known. One of the people who spoke to the Post, Washington Post, a local law enforcement officer close to investigation, did so in condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to speak publicly. The other, Richard Goldinger, the district attorney for Butler County, confirmed that a member of the county's emergency services unit, like a SWAT team, fired a shot at Crooks that prompted a reaction from the gunman. I don't know if the officer actually hit Crooks, and I don't believe he fired the neutralizing shot. But Goldinger said he believed the officer's shot caused Crooks to stop firing his weapon, buying Secret Service snipers time to kill him. Third person familiar with the investigation, speaking in condition of anonymity to discuss details that have not been made public before, confirmed that Butler officer shot at Crooks before Secret Service fired. The person said investigators have not found evidence that the local officer's round struck the gunman, but witnesses said Crooks appeared to move after that shot was fired. 10 shots were fired in the span of roughly 16 seconds, but there was a 10-second break after those first 9 shots were fired. 8 spent cartridges were recovered on the roof where Crooks fired from. Excuse me. Yes. Wow. The FBI rally shooter sought information on attempted killing of a foreign leader. He said former President Trump has agreed to be interviewed as well. The gunman who tried to kill former President Trump conducted internet searches related to power plants, mass shooting events, and attempted assassination this year of Slovakia's prime minister. Remember that? I covered that when that guy was shot in the street and they dragged him away. Text message revealed that police snipers noticed the shooter 2 hours before the assassination attempt. Police noticed Thomas Matthew Crooks acted suspiciously 1 hour, 45 minutes before he shot President Trump. This is just getting worse. The assassination attempt, which led to former President Trump's right ear being grazed by a bullet, is the subject of several official investigations by Congress. Today, thankfully, the Deputy Director, Abby, of the FBI confirmed unequivocally when Senator Kennedy, John Kennedy of Louisiana, in his typical comical fashion, asked a question. He said, was he hit by Sasquatch? No. Was he hit by a laser beam? No. Was he hit by all kinds of things? John Kennedy, just being as hilarious always, he said, was he in fact struck by a bullet, not a fragment? And the FBI Deputy Director said, we can confirm unequivocally that he was struck by a bullet. So the leftists, with their nonsense, trying to spew garbage, there it is, shot down. But they'll still run around and lie about Trump. He wasn't wounded, he was hit by shrapnel. Well, whether he was hit by shrapnel or a bullet really isn't germane. It's the same thing. All right, so the former leader of the National Rifle Association, apparently corrupt Wayne LaPierre, a New York judge issued a 10-year ban on him. New York judge today issued Wayne LaPierre, the former head of the National Rifle Association, today is Tuesday, isn't it? It was yesterday. They issued a ban on him, prevent him from holding a paid position with the organization for a decade, but declined to appoint an independent monitor to oversee the gun rights group. The split decision from Judge Joel Cohen came on the final day of arguments in the second stage of a civil trial brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James. First phase of the trial was decided in February by a Manhattan jury, found him and a deputy liable for misspending millions of dollars on lavish trips and personal expenses. Wow. So he is banned from being in the organization for 10 years. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a dark history, a dark day in the history and saga of the U.S. Army. One of the darkest moments in our history is the My Lai massacre that occurred in Vietnam under the direction of Lieutenant William Calley. A slimy, repulsive human being is no longer on this earth. Calley, complicit and convicted, but serving no jail time for the mass murder of close to 500 Vietnamese by official reports. Even the U.S. Army said it was 300, has passed away. William L. Calley Jr., convicted of the My Lai massacre, is dead at age 80. Hundreds of Vietnamese civilians died at the hands of American soldiers, but Lieutenant Calley was the only one found guilty. Yep. He was 80 years old, died in hospice in Gainesville, Florida at the age of 80. His death was confirmed Monday night by Social Security Administration records. The cause was not publicly disclosed. Family members did not respond. Nearly 56 years after the killings, as many as 500 women, children, and older men by Americans who attacked with automatic weapons, grenades, and bayonets, raped girls and women, mutilated bodies, killed livestock, and burned the village, My Lai still reverberates as one of the worst outrages of a brutal and divisive war. On the morning of March 16, 1968, Second Lieutenant Calley, a 24-year-old platoon leader who had been in Vietnam for only 3 months, led about 100 men of Charlie Company into My Lai at My Lai 4, an inland hamlet at about halfway up the east coast of South Vietnam. The Americans moved in under ambiguous orders, suggesting to some that anyone found in the hamlet, even women and children, might be Viet Cong enemies. They met no resistance, and over the next hours, the horror unfolded. Villagers who refused to come out of their huts were swept up in this. They were killed by grenades and bursts of gunfire. Others were shot as they emerged from hiding places. Infants and children were bayoneted and shot. An unknown number of females were raped and shot, and a military photographer took photographs of the scene. Lieutenant Calley's immediate superiors knew generally what happened. The atrocity was covered up in military reports. It took 18 months and the dogged efforts of investigative journalist Seymour Hersh to expose Calley's crimes. On September 6, 1969, Calley was charged with mass murder of civilians. He was one of 25 people charged, but the only one ever convicted. And Lieutenant Calley's trial at Fort Benning, Georgia, opened in November of 1970. He was accused of personally killing 102 civilians. Many soldiers refused to testify, but 8 witnesses, in often shockingly graphic testimony, said the lieutenant had herded sobbing, cowering villagers into a ditch and shot them in bunches and ordered his troops to kill as well. The number of victims at My Lai was never fixed precisely. The Army did not count the bodies. The official American estimate was 347, but a Vietnamese memorial at the site lists 504 names, ranging in ages from 1 to 82. In 71, he's convicted of premeditated murder of not less than 22 Vietnamese and sentenced to life in prison. but he never served that life in prison. Days after sentencing, Richard Nixon spared him from prison, allowing him to remain in his bachelor apartment at Fort Benning under house arrest pending appeals. The fort's commanding general reduced his term to 20 years. The Secretary of the Army, Howard Calloway, lowered that to 10 years. And in 74, a federal judge in Georgia overturned the conviction, saying he'd been denied a fair trial because of prejudicial publicity. So he never served in prison for his conduct. What the hell? Somebody's knocking on my door. Give me just a second, folks. Don't run off. And this I'll put on the screen. You can read. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. More salespeople selling crap. There's the actual New York Times story from March 30th, 1971, when he's found guilty of killing 22 civilians at My Lai. Wow. But Calley is dead at the age of 80. A disgrace to the uniform. An absolute disgrace. Sorry about that, folks, disappearing. You all went away on me? No, you're still here. Thanks for being here. People ringing my doorbell. We're not allowed to solicit, but they're soliciting in this town. So, yep. All right, so let me get back to the chat and say hello. That's the news I want to cover today. And let's see what you guys got to say. So, got some faces in here we haven't seen in a while. Let's see. I went all the way back to the beginning. Charles Jacques. So we got Charles van Onselen, George Steinberg, Ants, Myra, Emil Thayer, Jacques van den Berg, Tanya, Carlos, Smee, Brian Lawrence, and Mark Purchase, Ernst. There's Rebellious Ruth. Smee again, Lee Lowe, Clive Streak, H.M. Kinar, welcome to you, Diane McMeekin, Hendo, Fleshin, Ickno. They want to be communists. Yeah. Actually glad the USA are reconsidering go because ANC have made a joke of it. I agree, Charles. They should be suspended until they change their behavior. Absolutely. What else? Great to see you with Venant and Rob. It was great. Thank you for that, Petra. Well, they asked me to come on. Congo Chris says, good evening. Welcome to you. James Bowie is here. And Smee again. Hopefully the hectic. Okay. What else? Rebellious Ruth is there. Hendo says, just use EFF hashtag on the video, then the trolls come out. Yeah, the hashtags don't really work. I watched a video from the YouTube people. They made a video about, how to, title your videos and things like that. I watched it. It was a YouTube training video. And I said the hashtags really aren't what would draw people there because their hashtags aren't shared like on Twitter. The hashtags are simply there to correct spelling in case there's a spelling error in the description. So that's what they said. I don't know if it's true. Anyway, that's what they said. Gerhard Steenkamp, what's the story about the 8 schoolgirls with their own WhatsApp group? Gerhard, I covered that story you're talking about at the Pretoria Girls High School. I covered that story when it broke. I covered it because there was a question on it yesterday and read the investigative report from the gentleman who did it. It's all bullshit. There's nothing racist in the WhatsApp group. The screenshots have been shared. The girls have been attacked. Most of them said nothing in the group. Just because they're members of the group, they've been suspended. They're supposed to have a hearing this week, and they have been denied their rights under the law. They have not been told what the charges are specifically. They have not been told who's going to be part of the panel that reviews this and whom they have to testify in front of. The entire thing is bullshit. It's black supremacy racism going on at the Pretoria Girls High School by black girls attacking white girls with spurious claims and the Gauteng Ministry of Education interfering in local schooling. And that's what's going on. I've covered it. Okay, what else? Tired of the stupid racist stuff. Why can't we as human beings instead of racists? Like, exactly, I agree with you, James. Crocotopia is back. Good to see you again. It's been a while. Pedro says, do yourself a favor and read the book, The Covenant. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Pedro? Or are you talking to somebody? Who are you telling? How do you think I got interested in South Africa? I read The Covenant 40 plus years ago. Over 40 years ago, I read the book, The Covenant. I hope you're not talking to me, Pedro. That's what who are you telling? You're just telling people that in general? God is using a flawed man like Trump to expose the hypocrisy of the political elite. Yeah, he is a flawed man. We're all flawed. Elsa Vermeulen, welcome to you. Not true, Pedro. What's not true? The only people affected by apartheid were colored Indian and Cape. Well, that's not really true, Petra. I don't understand what you mean by that. Was it before? Yeah. Carl is now a mine worker. We saw that in Parliament wearing a miner's hat. Okay. What else? Was in Caprivi during the national service before being. Oh, okay. Thanks for that, Crocotopia. Appreciate that. Yep. Botswana is the best run country in Africa. It used to be ICNO, but under the guidance and leadership of Mokgweetsi Eric Masisi, it's a disaster. It's a fascist totalitarian state that impinges on the liberties and freedoms and violates Botswana's basic laws. Yeah, it's a shame. Botswana, Mauritius, Seychelles, Cape Verde. Yep, Botswana's still there, but they would fall to the bottom of that. They wouldn't be the best. Namibia is run by communist elites, and it's good if you've got money, but not good if you're poor because they don't care about the poor. Rwanda's still a way to go, but it's on the right track. It's run by a fascist totalitarian dictator, but the country's orderly, it's safe, it's clean, it's efficient, but people sacrifice their liberty for that, so not a perfect mix there. What about the Hezbollah rocket attack at the soccer field? I reported on that yesterday, Rebellious Ruth. It's killed a dozen Druze, and this is a vile attack. Israelis have retaliated, and they've hit Lebanon today. He took out the commander responsible for it. Botswana is the most competitive economy in Africa. Actually, probably that's Mauritius. Botswana would be up there. It used to be. The left, with its Greek Pantheon Olympic Host Committee, we apologize. Yeah, exactly, Congo Chris. Botswana is a capitalist welfare state with a Nordic model, top-notch. It was when I lived there, but after Ian Khama left, the country has slid very much to the left and out of control. Ulrich Ventures here, Garrett Gillich, Petra, Ignis, so we should focus on structuring Africa into our view of our values such as economic liberty and democracy. Yeah, we should. And Botswana was there. We got to get rid of Masisi, and then things will be all better. I saw on Bloomberg that Maduro would show the results after calls with Brazilian counterpart. That's interesting. I didn't see that. Venezuela now has ties with guerrilla cartels. True. No point bitching and moaning over Olympics. Must show action like pulling out and no investment. That doesn't accomplish anything. It still goes on, whether you pull out or not. We didn't go to Moscow. They didn't go to Los Angeles. All it did was meant the Soviets got a record number of medals. The Americans got a record number of medals. Also thought the F-16 fighters, yeah, exactly. They're already reported as having been delivered, so I don't know what the Wall Street Journal's talking about. That was like 3 weeks ago. Google Black Masters, White Slaves, Ottoman Empire. Okay. Sue Walsh is here. Secret Service a joke. It is. It is a joke. Secret Service, yeah, she resigned a week ago. It shows mediocrity and banana public rhetoric. Okay. It's not trying to pick a fight. Just no longer keep quiet when it's not true. Well, exactly, Elsa. You should. I don't either. When people put something in the chat yesterday, Athena came in and she said that Zimbabwe is crushed. Basically, not her words, mine. Zimbabwe's been crushed by sanctions. That's not true. That's simply not true. Zimbabwe's been crushed by the thieving ZANU-PF and its macroeconomic policies and its theft, not by sanctions. The sanctions don't affect Zimbabwe. If I'm dumb enough to invest in Zimbabwe, the U.S. government's not going to punish me. I won't go to jail. If I go to Zimbabwe and I build a factory and I invest money in Zimbabwe, the U.S. government's not going to come after me. Maybe the CIA will want to talk to me because I'm stupid. But no, but you can do that. But the corrupt leaders committing human rights abuses and stealing from people in Zimbabwe are not allowed to go shopping at Harrods or receive medical care in New York at Mount Sinai. That's the basic. And the companies that they own and control also can't do it, so they can't profit from their criminal activity. J.D. Vance, the right predecessor? No, he's not. He is not. ICNO. But it doesn't matter who's on the vice presidential ticket. What matters is if he's marginalized when Trump leaves after the next election, because Trump will have served his two terms. Then Vance needs to be marginalized, and a true conservative needs to actually rise to the top. By the way, I'm available. I'll shave the beard off and get a haircut if they want me to run for president. Christianity is based on older religions, tradition. That's why pagan origins are considered Christian. No. Those events were created by Christians, and yes, they relied on pagan traditions, but they are Christian events. They're not pagan events. Who's got better policies, Trump, DeSantis, or Haley? Trump, hands down. Glass shards, yeah, exactly. Bogs my mind that Secret Service described a man carrying a rifle into the crowd as suspicious. Yeah, well, nobody saw him carrying a rifle, so let's be clear about that. I think he stashed it well in advance, which is what I said on the day the event happened. Go back and watch my video the day that unfolded, and look what I said. I was very angry, but look what I said, and everything was 100% correct. Petra, Elsa says, read up on records of white slaves, given slaves known as, okay. Rufus identified serious threat for shooting. Paul Blart, mall cop standing on the roof, could have prevented this. Yep, exactly, Congo Chris. That's funny. Why are we still about the roof? We already designated a Secret Service mediocre agency that failed to protect, because it's still newsworthy. Why aren't the cops or Secret Service who were in the room overlooking the shooter question about not seeing the shooter on the roof? Well, apparently they have been questioned, so I don't know what's going on there. This guy doesn't have an answer. I want the answer. What's the definition of a rhino? Those Republicans who forgot that they're not part of the Demon Rat Isle? No, it's their voting record will determine if they're rhinos. Criminal charges brought against Chwane Council. Really? Well, what's that? Is that breaking news? Let me go to News 24 and see if that just came out. Thank you for that. News 24. I don't see anything on News 24. Where are you getting that from? All right. Is it true that there was another shooter? Nope. There was no grassy knoll. One shooter. Well, there was. It was a local SWAT shooter, emergency services unit, and then the Secret Service. So there were 3 shooters. There were 8 rounds fired by the assailant, 1 round fired by local law enforcement, which stopped him from shooting, and then 10 seconds later, he must have popped his head up, and the Secret Service took him out. Garrett wants to know if I looked at Brief America. His guest reckons squirrels could couch cash was part of Saddam's hidden loot. I don't know about that. That sounds a little crazy. Zimbabwe should undergo transition. It is so bad and emotional what happened. I could even consider changing the name of the capital. Yeah, I'd agree with that. LL Entertainment's back. Since Nigeria struggles with food crisis and Botswana and Namibia impose agricultural trade restrictions, why don't we take our business where it is needed in Nigeria? South Africa does take its business in Nigeria. The largest mobile provider in Africa is MTN, a South African company that operates in Nigeria. They have 90 million subscribers. ShopRite is in Uganda, although they're closing down. ShopRite was in 6 African countries outside of South Africa and 9 in Southern Africa. South African business is present in Nigeria. Maybe more needs to be present, but it's a long way to ship your vegetables. What is happening with Dangote? Well, Dangote's refinery is producing a small portion of the promised refined output every day, but they expect to be there by the end of the year, meeting the needs. So, yeah, he's incredibly rich, but that's because he's incredibly well connected. But he's doing some good things in Nigeria, arguably. Nicola Uruquat's back. Will an eye be kept on Cobus Hoffman's court cases? What court cases? What is Cobus Hoffman's court case? That's news to me. Huh. Okay. I found something from the Freedom Front Plus. But it's not, let me see. It says, oh, no. So what's going on with Cobus Hoffman? Well, Dangote, the problem, the government changed. And so he's a little bit on the outs with the current government. Yeah, that's a true statement. He was in great shape with the previous government. Smee says, there's a YouTube video where the last shooter's shots sound different to the first. Nah. Yeah. Will an eye be kept on? Yeah, I don't. What's going on? Nicola? What's going on with Cobus Hoffman? The Cobus I know. I've stayed at his home. Fellowdrift. We know Fellowdrift. I've been there. Small town of Western Cape on a small holding where I can play my guitar in peace and quiet. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll reach to Cobus. Let me reach to him right now. Okay. All right, just wrote to him. All right, so I didn't know that. No one told me about that. What do I think will happen in Botswana's elections? Well, I think that the Botswana Democratic Party, BDP, will win the election again. Botswana aren't willing to change things. Unfortunately, that means another 5 years of Masisi, and that's horrible for Botswana. I don't know if Botswana can stand a decade of this guy. Yeah, that's, I don't know. Yeah, there were 3 weapons. There was the assailant. There was the emergency services unit shot that caused him to stop shooting. which probably saved Trump and many other people's lives. Imagine if he emptied a magazine. Look how long it took 10 seconds for the sniper to acquire him when he should have already had that roof zeroed in on a rangefinder and simply adjust. It should have been a piece of cake. But of course, it might have taken 10 seconds because he just ducked and stayed down for 8 or 10 seconds. After watching how Tommy Robinson was exposed to corruption in the courts and the media, how they protect the Islamic grooming gangs, every country has a problem. Yeah, that's true, Kron Rizla. Yeah, no, I talked about the Islamic grooming gangs, the South Asian, Indian, Pakistani gangs that were molesting, raping, enslaving, imprisoning young prepubescent and pubescent English girls, targeting white girls from troubled families for a decade. Affected over 4,000 girls that we're aware of, while the police looked the other way and ignored it because they were afraid of being called racist because they're pussies. That's what they are. No, Kama won't get the votes. First off, he can't even campaign in the country because of a bogus arrest warrant for him on trumped-up charges of weapons charges. That's utter bullshit. Ian Kama is an honorable man who's being slandered by the government of Botswana and falsely charged. He's in the same boat as Trump, but he's much more innocent than Trump is. The Botswana military is very strong, very strong. They could defeat the Sandef in a battle. Yep. I've shared Cobus on the WhatsApp group. Okay. Okay, my message went through to him. So which WhatsApp group? We have all kinds of WhatsApp groups. We have all kinds of WhatsApp groups. So which WhatsApp group is it you're talking about? Anyway. Yeah, it's Botswana's military. What's all the interest in Botswana, Ikno? You Botswana there? So what about the UDM? The UDM in Botswana, I'm not familiar with them. No, I don't think that the BDP is going to lose the election. I mean, I think they should be taught a lesson. They nearly lost it in 2014? Is that when it was? Or 20? Anyway, they nearly lost one election a few years back. Yeah, make South Africa great. Oh, that was my tour. Make South Africa great. I didn't say again. Make South Africa great. It was my last tour. Went there for the elections. I think I got this T-shirt on that election. I got plenty of stuff. I think I bought this one there on that last trip. Yeah, make South Africa great. I think that's a fantastic idea. I think hitting the like button is an even better idea. I mean, you hit that like button.
That was easy.
Oh yeah, you get some instant joy out of that.
That was easy.
Well, I think I hit the table a little too hard. I must have hit it. Yeah, two groups are mental. All Garrett and Charles's fault. Well, I didn't say great again. I said make it great. Make South Africa great. That was my tour. Remember, every one of my tours has a theme so far. The first one was I'm Not a Garden Boy tour. Hey, there's Paulie, the so-called brains behind the operation, late to the show. Do I think Dean McPherson will be successful in his term as Minister of Infrastructure? No, I don't. I think he'll do his best, but he'll be undermined by bureaucracy, as I predicted, and also by competence and a budget shortfall. Did you get to make South Africa great again from Garrett? Did you get? I don't understand the question, Congo Chris. I didn't say again. I said make South Africa great. I did appear in Gareth Cliff's show this last time. It was interesting, in a new studio, a new location. I liked this old location, his old studio. It was a little bit tight, but it was a lovely facility. Yes, well, that's the problem in South Africa, the construction, the housing mafia, construction mafia. And it's not just in one province, it's all over the country. Ruth, he says, we love that you love South Africa. Thank you, Ruth, but I take a lot of abuse for it. A lot of abuse, a lot of threats from racists and bigots, black supremacists, white leftists. Get attacked all the time for what I do out of the kindness of my heart. I even get attacked by right-wingers. That's kind of slowed down a little bit right now. That's thankful. The right-wingers attack me. The problem is that you can't please everybody. I'm not going to run around and say that we should all have purple hair and come up with alternate pronouns, because that's just insanity. I'm also not going to say that apartheid was morally right, because it wasn't. The idea of separate development in itself is not wrong, but the implementation of what the National Party did to achieve that was morally bankrupt. So some people don't like me for that. I think that whether you're brown, black, or white, you should be treated fairly, and everybody should have an equal opportunity to succeed or to fail. It is not the role of government to be your nanny. You should be suckling at the teat of the taxpayer. Now, people are born in different circumstances, and I can tell you that myself. In high school, I had no money. I had no aspirations of going to university. Didn't think I was all that bright, to be honest. But I had 2 teachers in high school. Larry Householder was one of them. And another was a former Catholic priest who was an amazing guy. Both of them encouraged me to go to university. And I said, I can't go to university. I make money. I make money, man. And they told me I should go to the high school guidance counselor's office and look in the material, the literature there about scholarships and grants. So I did. And I learned about all the different grants. I didn't qualify for scholarships because my grades weren't good enough. I probably could have found one scholarship. So I applied for a federal grant, I applied for a state grant, and I applied for a student loan. And that was sufficient to go to university. But when I applied to 3 universities, I applied to 3. I applied to Central State University. It was free. That's a historically black college located around Dayton, Ohio. Central State. Then I applied to Purdue, which is in Indiana, and it was free to apply there. So I applied there. And then Ohio University had a $25 application fee. I didn't have $25 in 1981 as a junior in high school. So my guidance counselor called Ohio University admissions office in Chubb Hall. Listen, this is from a poor family. He's indigent. He doesn't have the $25. Can you waive it? They waived my application fee. I was accepted into Ohio University, which is where I wanted to go to school. I had gone down there because I'd come in first place in my county on American history test. I won the Daughters of American Revolution. I wish I knew where that certificate was. I was proud of that. I got it somewhere. Anyway, so I went to Ohio University. So what I'm getting at is that people who aren't born into wealth should have a fair chance. One way we as a society can help that is with scholarships or grants, I should say. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I have no problem with providing grant money to people who can't afford to get into school, provided they're qualified. But I'm not going to give grant money to people who aren't qualified based on their sexual orientation, their gender, their ethnicity, their skin color. That's BS. That doesn't get you a free pass. What gets you a free pass is academic performance and financial need. That's okay. That I'm okay with. And that's how I got in. But these days, those things are denied to people. I mean, in the Army, I was denied a promotion because someone lied in the Clinton administration. I eventually got my promotion along with 3,800 other officers. Our list was held up in 1994 by the scumbags in the Clinton administration who claimed that there were fewer women and minorities promoted by our promotion board than there should have been. Well, what should they be? That's the first question. Second question is, how does that match up against the 3-year running average? Because for promotion boards like that, you have to look at the most recent 3 years. And for the most recent 3 years, 10% more women and 12% more minorities have been promoted on our board than the previous 3-year average. So if you beat the average, that means you did better than any of those years. So we were prevented from being promoted for over 7 months. 7 months. It cost me 7 months time in grade. I had to spend 7 more months as a lieutenant when I should have been a captain already, as I'd earned it, but didn't get it because the Clinton administration held the list. They wouldn't send it to Congress, to the Senate for confirmation. Who the hell is texting me? Now I'm getting text over here. Good God, stop it. J.D. Vance. I don't like you, J.D. Vance. Quit sending me messages. Turd ball. Anyway, we can have states and have governors with powers just like they have in the U.S. They even have state guards, and every state has its own way of conducting business. Well, that's a federation or a confederation. Yeah, a federal system. Well, the Swiss canton system is much like our system. We should have a system like the U.S. with states. Yes, there's a lot of diversity in cultures. We do. But we're predominantly a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant country. So Ruth wants to know when I'm moving to South Africa. Well, Ruth, when I win the lottery, but since I don't play the lottery, I don't know if I'm going to win it. I'm looking at some property in Gordon Bay and Somerset West. There's too many people in Western Cape. Anyway. All right, so you think Kamala can win the presidency? She can, James. She shouldn't. She's dangerous. She's an idiot. She's a blithering idiot. I mean, honestly. I mean, do you hear the stuff from her the other day that I played? I mean, this just doesn't make any sense at all. Let me find this one real quick. Here you go. This is her blathering the other day.
GOP leader?
I am meeting with a lot of folks, and the work that we have begun is the work that is going to be ongoing. There is no question, and and I said this from the very beginning.
Look at
that
Mayorkas smirking behind her.
has to be with a commitment to a long-term investment, and it has to be a commitment to consistency. The United States has to be consistent. There were times when we were more
What's with the
engaged
hands?
and we saw good results, less engaged, and we can see where the work and the partnerships then deteriorate. So I am committed to ensuring that we engage in an active way on the root causes, on addressing the cause and effect, and also being partners in the Western Hemisphere, understanding that we have a responsibility, and if we ignore that responsibility, it will visit itself upon us in a very domestic way. So thank you.
What the hell was that? That doesn't make any freaking sense. I mean, can anyone understand that? Do you understand? I don't understand that. I mean, what the hell is she talking about? Now you can say, well, that's taken out of context. Listen, you could almost see the puppet master pulling the strings. So here we get the puppet master, right? Okay, here's the puppet master pulling the strings. She's a puppet. She's a puppet. She's a puppet, man. What an idiot. Yes, Alejandro Mayorkas is the slimiest guy possible. What can be unburdened by what has been? She is really stupid. That's true. Unbelievably stupid. So where's that thing about the racist thing? Oh, by the way, USA men's indoor volleyball is playing Germany. They lost the first match, 21-18. Oh, wait. They're two. Okay, they're two up, 2 games to 1. I don't understand this. Score is. Oh, they lost the first. Okay, hang on. I'm very confused by the scoring here. But the Americans are playing the Germans right now in volleyball. So I didn't realize they still had this running. So let's see what happens here. Americans going to spike this one. Oh, brutal spike from the Americans. And they win service back. They had lost the service. So it's 22-19. I don't understand what the 2 and 1 is here. So spike was 3.2 meters, 83 kilometers per hour. Man, that's vicious. So USA has won the serve back. Holt is on attack here. The ball looks tiny in his hands. Oh, he ran it out of the court. It was long. Put a little too much mustard on it. 104 kilometers per hour. The ball is traveling out. Man, you don't want to be struck by one of those bad boys. Yeah, it was clearly out. So they're showing it back. Anyway, let's look at the medal count real quickly here in the Olympics, folks. Japan is in the lead with 7 gold medals, 13 medals overall. PRC, the People's Communist Republic of China, has 14 medals, 6 golds. Australia, 6 golds, 11 medals total. France, 5 golds, 18 medals. Korea, 5 golds, 11 medals. USA, just 4 golds, 26 medals. Our swimming is really letting us down here, folks. We have 15 medals in swimming, but we only have 2 gold medals. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 silver and 6 bronze. 13 gold medals have gone. Well, not 13, who couldn't have gotten in all those events, but several gold medals have gone a begging. U.S. swimming is underperforming in this Olympics. South Africa still with just 3 medals. USA, it's trailing 24-20 now. I think the Germans are going to win this one. USA men's volleyball not getting the job done. Substitution for the Germans. All right, let me get back over here to the chat. What will happen if Rwanda and Congo go head-to-head? Rwanda will win whatever they want. Their military is much better, but they're going to have to deal with all the militias and the Kivus, and that's not going to go well for them. So it's not a smart move. So that's why they're staying out of it. What is this, man? I'm so sick of this. All right, and the Germans win a point. I think they won the game, 25-20. Germans jumping up and down there. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. So, USA is leading the medal count with 26 medals, and the closest is France with 18. The commies are 12 medals behind the U.S. Great Britain has 12 medals, Italy 11, Canada 6, Hong Kong 3, Germany 2. Just 2 medals for Germany. That's pathetic. Germany has historically been a very strong performer in the Olympics. Maybe more events will come along where they'll do well. Kazakhstan has more medals than Germany. They have 3. South Africa has more medals than Germany with 3. Hong Kong has more medals with 3. That's crazy. That's crazy. Shows you the Germans aren't getting it done, folks. They are not getting it done. Coach volleyball for girls at school. I've never coached volleyball, but I've played it. Lee says goodnight. Yes, but not for Botswana. Yeah, I think it's probably time to wrap it up, guys, huh? This is how many broadcasts for me today. I did 2 broadcasts, my 3rd broadcast, plus I appeared on that program, Bos Barat, with Rob McGimsey and Vena Dutoy. So in my opinion, UK made a big mistake when accepting refugees from Rwanda. I agree. I think the UK made a big mistake accepting refugees from anywhere. The only refugees that the UK should be accepting should be coming from Ireland. It's the only country that borders the UK. It's the only country. And there's no reason to take refugees from Ireland because there's no reason for them to be refugees. So the United States lost that game in volleyball to the Germans. Now they have to come back and win too. So looks like a beautiful volleyball court, and they're back underway for the next game. USA sets it up. Oh, what a great... It was touched, though. No, he knocks it out. He's calling it was touched. But they're not getting it, so the Germans get the point. We're going to go to the TMO. They're going to the TMO. They got a TMO for volleyball now? No. I don't know what he's singling there. Anyway, what should we do with Thortani Swatini? Nothing. It will collapse on its own. All right. Good night, everybody. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Really do appreciate your support. Be sure to hit that like button. We got 79 likes. And we'll catch you tomorrow unless something breaks tonight. Cheers.